To Talking Real Estate with Champions Real Estate Team here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark Wehner II, team leader at Champions Real Estate Team. Joining me today is Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage. So every Wednesday we jump on here. We've been doing it almost 2 years now. Started in 2020, so every Wednesday you're always here. But anyways, we try to jump on and give you a rundown what's gone on in the real estate market over the last week. Short, sweet, to the point. Give you some kind of tips, pointers, and what we're seeing out there. Obviously in December, it's the cold outside. It's supposed to get crummy tomorrow, and it's always a good time. The serious buyers are out there. So sellers, if you're looking to sell, still a great time to sell that house with the fewer competition out there. So let's jump into our graphics that we go over every week, so you kind of get a rundown of what's going on here. And I think it always pops up on me. So as we got here, we got 322 new listings over the last week. We've had 185 new contracts or accepted contracts in that last week, and 358 happy new homeowners. Hopefully they're happy in that regard. But new contracts were up a little bit. I think last week was about 160, 150. So we saw a little bump in activity as far as that goes. So I mean, that's usually after the holiday, the Thanksgiving holiday. People are like, all right, let's get back in the swing of things before Christmas. So we'll see a little bit of an uptick. Numbers are pretty steady on what we see historically through this time of year. The 300 new listings in that regard. So I still think it's a great time buying, sell. Interest rates have dipped a little bit from about a month and a half ago, where I think we maxed out or topped out about 7.5, give or take. But now we're just right around that 6%, 6.25, give or take on the day, depending on what the talking heads are saying and how they affect the market in that regard. So, but let's look at the 30,000 foot view here for you. Let me pull this screen up. Second. So as we see here, we got 2,506 active listings for sale in the Omaha and Lincoln area, in the Omaha and Lincoln multiple listing service. So breaking that down into the little Omaha metro area. So Douglas and Sarpy County, we have 1,432 active listings. And then let me check which what. Hold on. Technical difficulties here. Sorry about that. So number of homes for sale and existing side of it. So homes that are not new construction is about just over 500. New construction is at 920, 919. And then months of inventory is creeping up there a little bit. Last week it was at 2.4. We're at 2.8. Our average sold price is kind of basically stayed the same at that 317. So basically kind of the months of inventory looks. So as we look at it from a real estate perspective of it, it's a number of houses that if no more houses came on the market after today, we'd have 2.8 months of inventory. So a barometer for you is 0 to 3 months is typically a seller's market. From 3 to 6 months is usually kind of what we deem like a neutral market based on activity, the supply and demand. And then when we get to 6 or more is usually a buyer's market. So when I first got my license in 2008, I think we had a 9-month supply of inventory with regards to that. So obviously we're still a pretty healthy market out there. I think the prices, we've seen some, price reductions that I've seen come across emails from agents and things of that sort that we get blasted on when they get new listings out there and price reductions. But I think there's, still good opportunity to buy, good opportunity to sell. So those sellers are still capitalizing on the market appreciation that we've had over the last couple of years. So if you bought a house, I've said it before, in the last 5 years, in 2017, I think we're up 53.7% appreciation over the last 5 years. So that's still a great opportunity. If you have that equity in your house, if you want to do some updates and things of that sort, or you want to pull that equity out, buy another asset, you can buy an investment property that's going to give you a little bit of extra cash flow potentially and gain on that potential appreciation. Ultimately, it's not guaranteed, but historically, over the years, we've seen probably an average 3 to 5% average appreciation over the last. Ultimately, you have your dips, you have your ups, and you have your downs. So you can't guarantee anything, but it's still a great opportunity to gain some passive income, tax write-offs, and things of that sort. So, but let's jump in with Russ Williams at Williams Mortgage and kind of see what's going on in the mortgage industry. So, Russ, you're on mute still. So, just give you a heads up on that.
Hey, Mark, thank you for that. Mortgage rates are holding steady yet again this week. We feel we've probably crossed the threshold, if you will, of the highest inflation rates, unless we have some surprises geopolitically, China, Russia, who knows, those sorts of things. But strictly based upon technicals, we have peaked at inflation and we are seeing improvement now. The reason why that's important is because mortgage bonds and therefore mortgage rates are very sensitive to inflation. So we expect that interest rates will stay in this general range and start moving downwards a little bit. I'm going to put together a video to send to you, Mark, to kind of explain why I'm feeling that's the case. But it all has to do with investor appetite to buy, whether it be treasury bonds or mortgage bonds, and why do they buy one versus another, and what is the difference over time. And historically, it bears true that once we've hit the peak of inflation and we see the economy starting to slow and inflation coming down, mortgage rates have dropped. At the same time, we're continuing to see data that would suggest that we can expect a recession to be labeled sometime either late this year or early next year. And if we look back all the way to the 1950s, Mark, in every recessionary period, mortgage rates have dropped. The reason why that's significant for folks that are watching the video is when you think about last year, when we had 5, 10, sometimes more offers on a particular property, many of those folks went to the sideline as mortgage rates rose. If we see mortgage rates soften, do we really believe those folks that are sitting on the sideline will remain on the sideline? No, they're likely to jump back into the market, which is why this is still a great time to buy a home. It's not likely we're going to see any softening in values, especially at the lower price points in the next 6 to 12 months, unless we see the jobs market go to pot. In fact, I just saw that NAR, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the Mortgage Bankers Association are all projecting stable or increasing prices over the next 12 to 24 months. Some are projecting as much as 5 years or more of home prices rising. So this is a great time to get in and buy the home before you have to pay next year's or the following year's price, or have to compete with lots of other buyers who went to the sidelines, just like you may have. This is a great time to jump in where maybe you have lesser competition. As you probably saw just a moment ago, inventories are a little better than they have been. Give Mark and his team a call. This is a great time to buy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time to take a look at the houses, and even if rates are up a little bit higher than what they were, 6 months ago, and if rates do go down a little bit, you can always refi, down the road. So that's just the opportunity to get into it. That if you are, because I know rents, being an investor myself, the rents are continually going up, and you can't control that. Whereas if you buy a house, you're locked into that payment essentially, for 30 years. Ultimately, you have your taxes going up and insurance, but your principal and interest payment will be set for that 30 years in that regard. So you can kind of control that aspect of it. So, but yeah, if you'd love to sit down, and we'd love to sit down and chat with you individually, via Zoom, person, over the phone, just kind of what your game plan is, maybe for this next year, or is now the right time to buy for you, or we're thinking in the next year or so. It's always great to have a game plan going forward, rather than you're looking online, you see a house you love, and all of a sudden you jump into it. Well, you're going to get the cart ahead of the horse, and be prepared to get there. Maybe you got, credit needs to be cleaned up just a little bit, or you're in a lease or anything to that sort, that we can help you better your opportunities to be competitive out there in that marketplace. You want to compete in the competition, don't just participate. I was coaching hockey. That was a big no-mer. It's like, you can go out on the ice and skate around and act like a hockey player, but you're just participating in the game. You're not competing in the game. And so having all your ducks in a row from a buyer's or a seller's perspective, get a good game plan for it so you can get out there and compete. So, but appreciate everyone listening to us today. Either it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all those kind of fun places. Like us, post any questions. You can message us here, 672-7670 or Russ 290-8936. But appreciate you again. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.